Chapter 26 Deal Hyena's Perspective. I met Jasmine outside the throne room. She was rocking a sleeping Kelly in her arms. There was no way I was going to leave her alone with a demigod baby. This whole ordeal was my fault. She looked up at me and sighed.
Hey, I'm sorry.
I clenched my fist and took a deep breath, trying my best to sound calm. Why did you make the decision for me?
I had an idea.
She told me.
I didn't want to mention it in front of the other gods.
I crossed my arms. I'm listening.
You could always come over and visit Kelly as Raphael whenever you want, as long as you don't tell her you're her father.
She explained. What? Are you insane? I yelled. Hearing Kelly make a small noise in her sleep, I lowered my voice. That idea
Is the best one I have. Hyena, if she finds out you're her father before she's old enough to understand the consequences of being a demigod child, we could be looking at the end of the world. If you tell her that Raphael is her father and she sees past the spell, she could find out she's a demigod.
She shifted Kelly over to her right arm and grabbed my right hand with her left hand.
I feel terrible that this is how it has to be, but it's the only idea I have left where she could still see, you could still see her.
I stayed silent for a while. She's right. I didn't like the idea, but I knew she was trying her best to keep the other gods from killing Kelly. Tensing up, I ran to the nearest wall and slammed my fist onto it.
Hyena,
Jasmine said softly. I turned to face her and she walked up to me.
here.
She handed Kelly to me slowly. I stared at her. I'm a father. I rocked her slowly.
Now the king knows about Kelly, he'll try to go after her. Not if we have anything to say about it.
We heard next to us. Jasmine and I looked over to see Epia walking up to us.
And I'm sure the Syara team will keep an eye out as well. Right, Hyena?
I nodded.
Epia,
Jasmine started.
I gave Hyena permission to see Kelly whenever he wants as Raphael, as long as Kelly doesn't know that Hyena or Raphael are her father.
Epia thought for a second.
It's risky, but I don't like the idea of keeping Hyena from seeing this child.
I stared at her, surprised. Thank you.
You know, even if he said no, I wouldn't have listened, right?
Jasmine told her. Epia chuckled.
Yep.
We all heard a shuffling near us. I looked over to see Jagwerye walking up to us.
I overheard everything. For the record, I actually do like the idea of Hyena visiting Kelly as Raphael.
Jagwerye walked over to me and looked at Kelly.
May I?
I smiled and handed Kelly over to Jagwerye. If there was any other god I would trust to hold my baby, it would be her. Jagwerye slowly rocked Kelly and looked up at Epia.
Hey, Epia, can I ask you something?
Epia nodded.
Please, can you watch over Kelly as the god overseer?
She asked. Epia's eyes widened.
What? But I thought you said, I know. I said during the trial that I would watch over Kelly, but that is because I knew the gods would never agree to you doing it.
She explained. Epia smiled.
Thanks for trusting me. You are welcome. Just report Kelly's progress to me and I will report to Mom.
She told Epia. Epia nodded, then looked over Jagwerye's shoulder at Kelly.
She really is adorable.
Epia looked at Jasmine and I.
Congratulations to both of you. I mean it. We would like to say the same thing.
I heard Mom say. I turned my head to see her and Dad walking out of the throne room. I would also like to say, Dad started, Jasmine, for being immortal in a room full of gods, you were pretty brave.
Thank you, King Tygon.
Jasmine replied. Epia chuckled.
It's because she has to deal with me.
What? Dad asked.
Jasmine, are you also the mortal that lives with Epia?
Mom asked. Jasmine shuffled nervously. Dad paused for a second. The trial was finalized. You will not lose Kelly. Just tell us the truth. Jasmine nodded slowly.
I am.
Mom smiled.
The two of you will have to share the story of how you met at some point.
We all heard Kelly start to cry. Jasmine immediately rushed over to a panicked Jagwerye.
I do not know what happened. She was just sleeping.
Jasmine took Kelly from Jagwerye.
I think she's just hungry. We should really be getting home.
Mom and Dad nodded.
Jagwerye, could you help Epia and Jasmine get home?
Mom asked.
Yes, Mother.
Jagwerye replied. She motioned for Jasmine and Epia to follow her. As they began walking, Mom yelled,
Wait!
The three of them turned back around to face her. Mom ran up to Epia and embraced her in a tight hug.
I love you.
Epia seemed startled, but not soon after returned the hug.
I love you too.
Dad walked up to them and hugged them. I smiled. You finally got what you wanted, Epia. When I worked for Epia, she would say things against her parents, but it was clear she was just angry. She just wanted to be loved. The future can only get brighter from here.
Chapter 27, Huntress, Jagwerye's Perspective. Epia and Jasmine had gone home after the trials. I was currently on patrol with Hyena and Pantherye. Epia had called me and told me that she was staying home to babysit Kelly. Jasmine's nerves were up in the God world, so she went for a walk to unwind. I sat on the edge of the building, overlooking the city. Pantherye was sitting next to me. Hyena was on top of a building across the street. Pantherye looked down at the street below. What are your thoughts on the trial, Jagwerye? I am just glad everything worked out, I responded. Jagwerye, Pantherye started. Nothing in this conversation will be told to anyone. I just want to hear your honest thoughts. I sighed. I am surprised. Usually the gods' actions are based on what we think is safe. Jasmine is persuasive. I am not too happy about the demigod baby, but I agree that we keep her alive. The idea sounds good when said, about Kelly not knowing her father. But how long will that last? Did we make the right call? Pantherye stayed silent for a while before sighing. That's kind of a difficult call. I think the gods are afraid of the power Kelly may possess. She looked over at Hyena. He's filled with a lot of regret. You need to talk to him at some point. I heard a small chuckle from her. We need to give Epia a raise. I gave her a small smile. She was now looking at me. Trust me, we will. I paused for a second. And Epia. I almost got kicked out of the God world for trusting her. Am I making any good calls? I'll admit that I didn't like the idea of Epia in the God world. I even doubted you. Although she had a couple slip-ups, this was good for her redemption. You and her changed my point of view, and I'm never doubting you again. She grabbed my hands. You shouldn't doubt yourself either. I nodded, fully smiling. Thanks, Pantherye. I looked back down at the road below. In that split second that I looked down, an arrow flew down into the streets below, hitting a mortal in the arm. In an instant, that mortal was dead. I stared in horror, noticing the arrow had yellow feathers on it, the one designed to kill an immortal instantly. I traced where the arrow came from, looking at a building near Hyena. I saw what appeared to be a female standing on the roof. A shadow was cast over her face, so we couldn't determine what she looked like. Couldn't even see the hair color. She seemed to be wearing a light purple spaghetti-striped shirt, bright red pajama pants, and brown-heeled boots. In her hand was the bow Agent A admittedly lost. She took off running, jumping to the next building. I looked over to see Hyena already taking off after the girl. Hyena would eventually get with me later to tell me that the girl managed to slip into a building, then disappeared. He lost the girl, the fastest god alive. I didn't see the girl again for another 3 years, but her actions that night earned her the nickname the Invisible Huntress. While Hyena was chasing the girl, I flew Pantherye down for both of us to check on the deceased mortal. There was a loud sobbing coming from somewhere nearby. I turned my head to see a teenage girl on her knees, staring at the body. She had shoulder-length brown hair and was wearing a sky blue tank top, black leggings, and pink sneakers. Her tank top had the word dream in pink bubble letters sideways going from bottom to top on the right side. The girl looked up at me with tears in her eyes. It was Rachel Beatrice, or rather, Agent R, from the team. Miss Jagwerye, that was my dad! I grabbed her arms and made her stand up. Then I hugged her, whispering, I am sorry. My invention killed my dad. I'm the reason my dad is dead. She yelled, sobbing. No, Pantherye said firmly. Rachel and I both looked at her. She was staring at the spot where the mysterious girl had been. We should have gone back to the city hall the second Agent A told us that she lost the bow and arrows. With everything that happened in the god world, we forgot to look. Now it's in the wrong hands. We will catch your dad's killer, I promise. Epilogue, APS perspective. We heard the sharp sound of a phone call interrupting Jagwerye. Jagwerye looked at her phone. Excuse me for a moment. She stood up and walked back to the room. Mom took a deep breath. That explains Kelly. That leaves one explanation. She pointed at Jazz. You. We all need an explanation about the past few months. Jazz leaned back into her chair, crossing her arms. I'm an open book. What do you want to know? You and I both know what I want to know. You're currently sharing information to me for your trial. Jazz smirked. I stood up and stepped in between the two of them. Let's just wait for Jagwerye to get off the phone, I told them. You might be waiting a while if you wait for me, we heard Jagwerye say behind us. She walked back up to us. That was Pantherye. She and Kelly will be here soon. Hyena, I need you to come with me. King and Carl have escaped jail. The two of us will go, but Pantherye will stay for the explanation. There is also one more thing I need you for, Hyena. I'll explain on the way. Hyena nodded and the two ran out the door. I noticed Jazz lost in thought. I crossed my arms. Don't you dare get any ideas. I'm not, Jazz yelled. It's just... Should I be in the same room as my daughter? You're in a room with 3 royal gods. We will be keeping a close eye on the 2 of you, I explained. Mom nodded. EP is right. We just need to wait for Pantherye and Kelly.